Okay, welcome to Academic Daddy's class. So today I'm going to be teaching you tricks on Mathemagic trick. So remember to subscribe to my channel after this. Notice when it's 3 times 1, all I just have to do is to bring that 1, divide that 1 by 2 is 0.5. Whatever you're doing from 2 times to 9 times, divide by 2. Then when you divide by 2 for 3 times, multiply by 10, you see that you get 0.5 times 10, which is 5. Now minus 1 from that 5 2 times, so that I have 5 minus 1 is 3. Why am I minusing 1? Because I'm timesing by 1. When it's 2, I will minus 2 2 times. When it's 3, I will minus 3 3 times. When it's 4, I will minus 4 times. So for 3 times 2, all I just need to do is to say, since I'm doing 3 times 2, divide 2 by 2 is 1. 1 times 10. 1 times 10 is 10. Then come here. That 10 that I have, I will minus 2 from it 2 times. And minusing 2 from 10 2 times is the same thing as saying 10 minus 4, which is 6. And 3 times 2 is 6. When I come to 3 times 3, I will say I'm dealing with 3 times 3. I'm dealing with 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. Now notice we've gotten 15. Come and minus the 3 I'm talking about 2 times. So 15 minus 3 is going to give me 9. For 3 times 4, I will do 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 2 times 10 is 20. Now I've gotten 20. I'm talking about 4. Come to the 20, do 20 minus 4, I get 12. The same thing is if I have 5,000 times 3, I will say 5,000 divided by 2 is 2,500. 2,500 times 10 is 25,000. Now, since I've gotten 25,000, minus the 5,000 I'm talking about 2 times from 25,000, I will get 15,000. And notice that 5,000 times 3 is 15,000. For 4 times, the trick to use is the same procedure, but just that this time around I'm not going to be minusing twice. I'm going to be minusing just once. So 4 times 1, I'm talking about 1. I'll do 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. 0.5 times 10 is 5. Now come and do minus 1 from that 5, because I'm talking about times 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. If I go to 4 times 2, I'm talking about to do 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the simple formula is that I will always divide whatever I'm talking about by 2, multiply by 10. Then I will check if I'm adding that particular thing I'm talking about or I'm removing it, be it once or twice. So see here, I've done 2 divided by 2, 1. Then 1 times 10, 10. So minus 2 from 10 once, you get 10 minus 2 is 8, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now 4 times 3, I'm talking about 3. Divide 3 by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. Now I'm talking about 3. Take that 15 that I've got, minus 15 from minus 3 from 15, I get 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. Now 4 times 4, I'm talking about 4 now. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 times 10, 20. I'm talking about 4. Minus 4 from the 20. 20 minus 4 is 16. 5 times 4, I'm talking about 5 now. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. 2.5 times 10 is 25. And since I'm talking about 5, minus 5 from the 25, I get 25 times 2. 5 times 4 is 20. So there you have it. That's the trick. So even if I have 300 times 4, for example, 300 divided by 2 is 150. That 150 that I've gotten, do by 10. 150 times 10 is 1,005. Now, since I'm talking about 300, minus 300 from 1,500, I get 1,200. 300 times 4 is 1,200. So let's move to the 5th one. So for 5 times, I'll just do, bring for example 5 times 1, I'll do that 1 I'm talking about, divide it by 2. Once you're talking about anything, remember to divide by 2. Remember to multiply by 10. Now when you've multiplied, now it's now up to you to check if it's something you are subtracting or if it's something you are adding. But for 5 times, you just do 5 times 1 is going to be 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. 0.5 times 10 is 5. Don't add anything, just leave it like that. So for 5 times, you just do divide that thing by 2, multiply by 10. That's just the secret for 5 times. So for 5 times 2, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 10 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3, divide 3 by 2. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. 5 times 3 is 15. For 5 times 4, Divide 4 by 2 is 2. Multiply 2 by 10 is 20. 5 times 4 is 20. For 5 times 5, divide 5 by 2 is 2.5. Multiply 2.5 by 10 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. Such that if I have, for example, 700 times 5, divide 700 by 2, you get 350. Times it by 10, you get 3,500. 700 times 5 is 3,500. So for 5 times, you are not adding, you are not subtracting. Just divide by 2, then multiply by 10, you get your answer. Now for 6 times, the trick you're using is simple. You're going to be doing the same thing. 6 times 1, for example, you divide 1 by 2, you get 0.5. 0.5 times 10, you get 5. Add 1 to it, you get 6. 6 times 1 is 6. For 6 times 2, divide 2 by 2, you get 1. 1 times 10 is 10. Add 2 to the 10 you've gotten is 12. So if I'm talking about 3, at the end of the day, I will add 3 or I subtract 3. If I'm talking about 4, at the end of the day, I'll add 4 or I subtract 4, depending on what the procedure gives. So for 6 times, you normally add, and you add only once. So for example, 6 times 5, I'll say I'm talking about 5. 5 divided by 2 is 2.5. Now 2.5 times 10 is 25. Now notice that I've gotten 25, but what I'm talking about is 6 times 5. Because I'm talking about 5, add 5 to the 25 is 30. 6 times 5 is 30. So for example, if I have, like, let's say 300, if I do 300 divided by 2, I'm going to get 150. And I do 150 times 10 is 1,500. Shebi, and because I'm talking about 300, I'll add 300 to the 1,500 I've gotten. I get 1,800, which means that 300 times 6 is 1,800. You check it out, it's correct. And you need to note, just like I calibrated here, I said for 6 times is the opposite of 4 times. So 6 times you are adding that value you are multiplying at the end of your division by 2 and multiplication by 10, you will always add that thing you are multiplying. But for 4 times, instead of adding, you will always subtract. So that's why I said that they are the opposite. So if you check it, from 0 to 4 is the same distance. It's just 1, 2, 3 distance before you get to 4. And from 10 to 6 is just 1, 2, 9, 8, 7 before you get to 6. So 3 distance. So you see that they are the same thing. Then I moved down here, I said for 7 times is the opposite of 3 times. If you check the count in the spacing, you see it's the same thing. So when I say 7 is also the third from right backwards. So remember, this is my special trick. I'm the first person doing this. You always check the dates. So remember to subscribe to my channel. So for 7 times 1, I say 7 times 1 is going to be the same thing as saying you are talking about 1. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. 0.5 times 10 is 5. Now, since I'm talking about 1, the trick to 7 is that I'll add the 1 that I'm talking about 2 times, so that I do 5 plus 1 plus 1 is 7. Now, the same procedure runs for anything that you are multiplying by 7. So if I have 7 times 2, divide 2 by 2, you get 1. 1 times 10 is 10. Now add that to, I'm talking about 2 times, you get 14. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 3, you do, since you're talking about 3, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. And you're talking about 3, add 3 2 times, is going to be 15 plus 3 plus 3, and it's 21. Now for 4 times 7, you do 4 divided by 2, you get 2. 2 times 10 is 20. Now, since you're talking about 4, add 4 2 times to the 20, you get 28. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5, you do 5 times divided by 2, you get 2.5. 2.5 times 10, you get 25. Since you're talking about 5, add 5 2 times to 25, you get 35. 7 times 5 is 35. So I now have an example here where I said 355 times 7. You see, I divided 355 by 2. I got 177.5 times 10. You get 1,777. Now add the 355 you're talking about 2 times. You get 2,485. You see that 7 times 355 is 2,485. So let's move to the next one. So I've drafted this out so that I can save time, so it can be short and possibly. Okay, now for 8 times 1, the same procedure. I will always divide by 2. Whatever I'm talking about, I always divide by 2. I will always add 10. Then I'm checking if I'm adding the same thing I'm talking about 2 times or once or 3 times, or whether I'm removing it. For 8 times, you are going to be adding whatever you're talking about at the end of these 2 procedures that are going to be that are mandatory. These 2 procedures, they are mandatory. You must divide by 2, you must multiply by 10. Then you will now know whether you are adding. So for 8 times, I'm adding 3 times. Whatever I'm talking about, I added 3 times. So 1 divided by 8 times 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. Now 0.5 times 10 is 5. So I add 1 that I'm talking about 3 times. I get 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 8. 8 times 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 10 is 10. Now since I'm talking about 2, I'll add 2 3 times. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 10 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. And since I'm talking about try, add 3 times to 15, which is 3 plus 3 plus 3, and that is going to be 9. 9 plus 15 is 24, and 8 times 3 is 24. So do it. And I also said that 8 times is the opposite of 2 times. 8 times is the opposite of 2 times. Much as 2 times is very simple, but if you check it, you see that it still follows a procedure. It follows the procedure, which is by the time you divide by 2, multiply by 10, subtract whatever you're talking about 3 times, you get 2 times. So for example, here that I have 2 times 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. Now, since I'm talking about 3, 15 minus 3 minus 3 minus 3 is going to be 6. So for example, 30 times 2. If I want to do 30 times 2, 30 divided by 2 is 15. 15 times 10 is 150. Since I'm talking about 30, minus 30, 3 times from 150, you get 60. And 30 times 2 is 60. Now for 9 times, which is the last one, 9 times is the last one. So for 9 times, what you just need to do is the same procedure. You will always divide by 2, multiply by 10. But for 9 times, you now add whatever you're talking about 4 times. So 9 times 1 is 1 over 2 equals to 0.5. 0.5 times 10 is 5. Since I'm talking about 1, I'll do 5 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That is 1 in 4 places. I get 9. So this thing will help you when you have big values. Once you divide it by 2 times by 10, add whatever you are given 4 times. You always get the answer for 9 times it. So if I do 9 times 2, I first do 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times 10 is 10. So 10 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 18, because 2 in 4 places is 8 plus 10 is 18. So 9 times 3, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 times 10 is 15. Since I'm talking about 3, I add 3 in 3 places. 3 in 3 places is 12. 12 to 15 is 27. And 9 times 12 is 27. 9 times 3, is 27. So this is an example where I did 9 times 360. So I say, since I'm talking about 360, divide 360 by 2, you get 180. Times 180 by 10, you get 1,800. Do 1,800. Now you're talking about 360. Add 360 in 4 places, you get 1,440. Add it to the 1,800, you get 3,240. 9 times 360 is 3,240. This is my special trick. I'm the first to do this. So if you find it online, check the dates. Remember to subscribe.